We have Greg here now. I'm excited to meet Greg and have Greg on the show. Greg is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and co-founder of Burn Pit Barbecue, where he shares grilling and barbecue recipes, yum, and tips. Greg served 3 combat deployments in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. As a Marine, he led and took part in combat and humanitarian missions.
Greg was honorably discharged at the rank of sergeant in 2006, and as a coach, Greg is a certified Echo and Neuro Leadership brain-based professional coach. So we got a whole bunch of questions. What is Echo? But let's get started by welcome Greg Fischer.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So Greg, I always like to ask, what is one great thing that happened to you this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, similar. I have 3 young boys, and they all are in sports right now. So my youngest is 4 years old, and he just started soccer. So he just had his first game over the weekend, and he loved it. He didn't want to leave the field. So that was the best thing to happen to this weekend.
That's wonderful. What was your biggest challenge in getting started or figuring this whole thing out? Because it sounds like I've been following you for about a year or so, that you were doing one thing and now you're into coaching, you have the barbecue, you have a lot of things going on. So tell us how that all happened.
Yeah. For me, the biggest thing was betting on myself and, taking that risk and jumping into kind of the fear of the unknown. That was the biggest challenge for me, was leaving the stability of a corporate environment and going off and doing my own thing. So that was the biggest challenge, overcoming that fear and then taking that leap and that leap of faith.
Nice. So our topic today is mindset, and that's part of why you're here today. So what does your morning routine look like that gets you off on the right foot every day?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest thing is the mornings is me time. I do have 3 young boys, and they're in various activities and sports. So I like to get up early. I like to do some physical activity. I practice jiu-jitsu and judo, so I'll get up and do that a couple times a week. If I'm not doing that, I will try and do some weightlifting or some cardiovascular stuff outside when it's warm out. But then also take some time to reflect and really start practicing gratefulness. So I have a gratitude practice where I just kind of sit in the silence and think about what I'm grateful for that day.
Nice.
Gratitude is such an important part. And to help with your morning routine, we're also going to give you a journal. I'm practicing my Vanna thing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, where you get your choice of colors, and we want to make sure that you leave with a journal. So when you coach people, what are you seeing as their number one roadblock? And that thing that stops them from moving forward?
Yeah, like most people, it's procrastination. They know what they need to do, but they just don't do it. That's kind of where I help and assist with the accountability, and then also provide some frameworks and some helpful tips to get them there. Other things, again, like, when you're going in and you're trying for these big goals and these big visions, is fear of the unknown, and then self-doubt starts to creep in. So I help them create a plan and create a vision for what they want to accomplish, but then we also talk about some of those obstacles that can get in the way. And then we try and do everything we can to mitigate those obstacles. And also the biggest thing is celebrating wins when they come up. We're often, especially high achievers, are very hard on ourselves. So taking the time and the effort to really celebrate those small wins along the way creates momentum, and then also increases that self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. It says increase self-confidence. So you talked about gratitude and high achievers are hard on themselves, and then we just had increased confidence on the screen. So how do those 3 tie together?
Yeah, again, so the self-dialogue is key for a lot of people. When we talk about imposter syndrome, when we talk about self-doubt, high achievers are always pushing for those next goals, but then they're also questioning themselves, and that self-belief can be diminished over time. So part of what I do is I help them maintain a healthy level of self-confidence, that they can continue to be grateful for everything they've achieved, but also be still ambitious and wanting to achieve more.
It's almost like you have to find a little bit of compassion for yourself at the same time as you're trying to achieve more. It's a fine balance, I think.
It is. And the world is often hard on us, so we need to be a little bit kinder to ourselves as we continue to achieve our goals.
Being kind to yourself. I post a lot of sayings. They're usually Brene Brown's quotes that are, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, speak to yourself better. I heard one coach say, talk to yourself like your best friend would, because a lot of us don't do that. We talk to ourselves like our worst enemy would, and our best friend, what do they say? They say, you are awesome. This is why I love you. This is why I care about you.
Yep.
Yeah, and that goes to when my clients come to me with a problem or an obstacle, oftentimes I'll use that kind of same analogy. Like if your best friend were to come to you with this challenge or this problem, what type of advice would you give to them? And 9 times out of 10, they know what they're supposed to do. They know how they're supposed to overcome that obstacle, but it's just reframing it in a different way to get them to think differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have another question. So what is one thing your audience could do for the next 30 days to help them move forward faster?
Yeah,
and with compassion.
Yeah. The first thing I do with my clients when I work with them is to actually write down their vision for themselves. Oftentimes I find that people might have, short-term goals or even long-term goals, but they don't really have a vision of themselves as they start working on those goals. So the first thing I would encourage people to do is, start to write down that vision that they have for themselves. And then once they have a good vision of where they see themselves 1, 3, or 5 years in the future, is to start making actionable steps that can help get them there faster. So again, now this is where the goals and the milestones come in, is we want to make sure that we don't just have a destination in mind, we have a roadmap for how to get there. So that's what I would recommend for people who are just starting or might need a little bit of help or encouragement is, start writing these things down, because the faster you start to write them down, I find in my research and from working with my clients, the faster that they get to achieve those things.
Yeah, and if you have any questions for Greg, be sure to put them in the chat or raise your hand and we will call on you and bring you into the show. Greg, it sounds like you're talking about creating a mission, vision, values like we would for a company, and a lot of us are familiar with, for yourself. And I think that's so important. What would your mission, vision, values look like?
For myself?
Yeah.
So my mission, I'm on a journey to help high achievers, veterans find their own self-purpose. So that's kind of my mission in life right now, post-corporate world, and what I'm doing right now. So if that's you, I'd love to chat with you. But then like my values is we want to make sure that we're aligned with the values that I believe in. So faith, family, and then also, serving my community, which I did, and I served my country, but I continue to serve my community now. So those are some of the values that I try and instill in everything I do.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for sharing your mission, vision, values. That's, I kind of put you on the spot as like, okay, let's see what you're all about, David. And so that's great that you did that. Until we get some questions from the audience, I'm going to ask you the billboard question, because I'm kind of liking that one today. If you had a billboard, it's on the Houston freeway, could be LA, Houston, Jacksonville, whatever you're into. What is that billboard going to look like, and what's it going to say?
Yeah, so I thought about this when I heard you ask it behind the stage, and for me, it would be bet on yourself. And the reason I say that is, during this time we see the Great Resignation going on. People are unhappy with where they're currently at. They feel stuck, and I feel betting on yourself is the only safe bet. So I've actually just created a course called Bet on Yourself that encourages people to really take ownership of where they are in their life and in their personal, professional life, and not wait for somebody to come tap them on the shoulder, because, honestly, you are the hero of your own story. So make sure that you're doing those things that are continuing to further and better yourself. So bet on yourself would be my billboard kind of saying.
That is wonderful. So if you have any questions for Greg, be sure to put them in the chat. What is one habit that you've done over the last 2 years that, now that it's, you've used it for a while, it's really making that significant impact?
Yeah, one thing that I've worked on really specifically within this past year is using I am statements. So I am statements are really kind of, again, helping to increase, my self-confidence too, of that vision of the person that I want to be. So for me, I started developing that over the year, and I read that to myself every day. So I am, and then I go into my spiel. I have a few of them that I'm working on. So one is kind of my professional one, I am, and goes into my professional vision, and then my health and wellness one, so I am. So I'm creating this picture of a future version of myself, but I'm relating it to myself in present tense.
Oh, that's so great. Sheila put, bet on yourself, put it on a Post-it note, and you have a little mini billboard.
Yeah.
Cool idea. I'm sorry, did you have a question? I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just gonna, I don't remember what it was now. It was something about
I ruined it.
oh, are you doing that when you're meditating, that question, or that I am statement? Like, are you channeling your subconscious? Because she was saying earlier that if you just say it, it might not do anything. You could just say I am all day long and get nowhere.
Yeah. Part of that practice is also the visualization. So, I have my vision, and in my course, I take my clients through actually creating a vision board, so that subconsciously you're looking at it every day. So there's a similarities there, just a little different maybe phrasing of it. But yes, so there's a lot of visualization that goes on, and a lot of work that helps kind of program your subconscious mind to see that and feel it, so you're actually living it every day.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. You want to share Sheila's?
Sheila said, journal a list of your I am statements and return to it often. You could be putting your I am statements in your morning journal.
I can, yes.
Journal.
Yes.
Yep. Write them down until they become, you can memorize them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That is beautiful. So we're at the point of the day where we're going to do the giveaway. But before we do that, we want to say thank you to Greg. We really appreciate you coming by and sharing this. And we're going to put a link in the show notes or in the chat. Great job, Vanna. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to put a link in the show notes so that if you'd like to get in touch with Greg in the 30-minute Unstuck session, you'll have the opportunity to do that.